I'm not seeing Mr. Shell, but he has been out of the office, so he may not be joining us tonight.
Johnson, get on.
Yes, Daniel, I saw Daniel.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Do we know about Mr. Dine?
Diane? Yeah, he's there.
Oh, there he is. I didn't see his camera.
Daniel, you know if John's going to make it tonight?
I've not heard anything from him, but I know he's out of town.
Okay. We'll say probably not. He joins us. Okay. So, all right, it is 7 o'clock. I think we can go ahead and start. Open the Advisory Plan Commission meeting for April 26, 2021. And our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the March 22nd meeting.
So moved.
So move second. Sorry, I was talking.
Okay, motion by Mr. Smith, second by Monica. All those in favor, Mr. Dine? Mr. Dine?
Here.
Okay, this is for the minutes. Mr. Johnson?
I'll have to abstain. I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Monica?
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Aye.
Mr. Trader?
I have to abstain also. I wasn't at that meeting.
Well, I think that's a problem. Not with you, I mean, but, and I'm an aye, so that's 5-4 and 2 abstentions, and we got 2 absences. What's that do?
What was Mr. Dine's vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
So I got 5 ayes, and Mr. Johnston and Mr. Schrader were.
Well, it just takes a quorum of you, and 5, you're a 9 member, so 5 is.
Oh, I was thinking 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 5
Okay,
is.
we're good. All right. Any special requests or continuances? All right, seeing none. Any old business? Old business from the floor? All right, new business. PC 2020-054 Sedgwick President South 3C overlay review. Now, this is the first time we're doing overlay reviews during the Plan Commission, so I assume the procedures and all that are all the same. Is that right, Mr. Davis?
Yes, that's correct.
And we do have motions that have been prepared for us. So with that, I will ask the petitioner to state his or her name for the record. And
hello.
Go ahead.
This is Joseph Heck with Projects Plus.
Okay.
It's 1257 Airport Parkway, Suite A, Greenwood, Indiana, 46143.
Okay.
I'm here representing Sedgwick Properties for their site, their 2.12 acre site at President South Lot 3C at 355 Commerce Parkway West Drive. Like you said, we're here for the overlay since the overlay is gone now with the new zoning, and this was submitted under the old zoning ordinance. So we're here seeking acceptance of the architectural landscape review for the site. And I'm open to any questions. I think everything was submitted and has been reviewed by the planning department.
Mr. Davis was
or they have a recommendation, I guess I should say. I shouldn't say that. They should have a recommendation for you.
Let's see what we got here. There's no waivers. Everything in order percentages wise, Mr. Davis?
Yes, as you'll see in our recommendations, we did want the Planning Commission in lieu of our overlay committee, to look a little bit at the monotony language from the old zoning ordinance and get your input on if this meets those criteria. Staff was recommending that we potentially look at ways to accentuate the front or west elevation of this building.
All right, so
Yeah, the front of the building will have split block on the bottom and ephes on top. It's about a 50-50 split for the frontage with windows along the entire frontage, similar to the building that they've already built across the street. This is the same owner. Sides would be the same brick on bottom, ephes on top, and then the back is brick with metal panels on the back. That was the plan on that.
And as part of
It's
looking
similar
at
to the
this,
other buildings as well.
and as part
Go
of
ahead.
looking at this architecture, we'll also want to look at those, make sure those rooftop units on the back facade are screened, which at this time they're not.
We could get that added. I could get with the owner and have him screen those.
that would be a condition of approval.
And
Okay.
the other condition about the cutoffs, yeah, we agree to do the 90 degrees cutoffs with the downward facing fixtures.
Okay.
Do we have an idea where the trash is on site here?
Yeah, there's a dumpster pad centrally located on the east side of the property, and the enclosure will be block also matching the building. It'll match the building exterior.
No roof, right?
No top to the dumpster. No, 3-sided with a gate in the front.
Okay.
Copy that.
Uh,
I don't see it attached here. Is there a light pollution plan as well?
There was one provided, yes.
I think that was,
Photometric plan was submitted.
I think that
There's
was.
just wall packs on the building, no pole lights, and they got the 90 degree cutoffs down.
Is that the only lighting you say?
Yeah, just wall packs on the actual structure itself. Yep.
All right. So, and then that was part of the recommendations from the staff. So, landscape's all in order. I don't have any further questions. Any of the commissioners have any questions?
Number 16 under signage, it says signage to be determined at a later date. Is that something we can go ahead and approve without this, or is it mandatory that we have something in there, Dale?
We typically wouldn't look at signage. We'll look at that whenever the petitioner submits it later, and we'll apply our normal sign standards to that.
I'm sorry, you were frozen for a minute. What did you say?
We will look at that when they submit for sign permits. We haven't seen anything on that yet.
Okay,
But our normal sign standards will apply.
okay, great.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, there's been a motion prepared.
Okay, I move to find the proposed commercial development site plan for
We lost you.
Precedent South 3C 3X Plus on behalf of Sedgwick Properties LLC, docket PC 2020-054 complies, subject to the two conditions of the Overlay Committee staff report with the architect and landscape standards of the I-65 corridor overlay district zone, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the written notice of determination regarding this decision.
Okay, before I ask for a second, there was a condition to add screening at the rooftop units. And that as well, is that you agreeable to that? On your motion?
You talking to the petitioner? Oh,
And you already said you were okay with that. I was
Yeah,
talking to
yeah.
Ms. Monica on,
Okay.
Is that all right to add to your motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a second.
Second.
Okay, motion by Monica, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor? Mr. Dine,
Aye.
Mr. Johnston,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Ms. Gardner? Ms. Gardner?
Where'd she go?
Ms. Gardner, are you there? Mr. Schrader?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Ms. Gardner just commented in the chat that she's having technical difficulties.
Okay. Well, the motion passes 6. We have 6 yeas and no nays, so motion passes. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. I'm on for the next one too.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Can't get rid of me.
That's okay. Okay, next order of business, PC 2020-058, Estes Overlay Review, Architectural and Landscape Review. Again, if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Joseph Heck with Products Plus, 1257 Airport Parkway, Suite A, Greenwood, Indiana, 46143. This one I'm representing Estes Express Lines for their 10.71 acre lot at Precedent South on the remainder of Block 9. It's at approximately 700 Commerce Parkway East Drive. This site, it was also submitted before the new zoning ordinance took effect. And with that, with this being a precedent, it would have had to go to the overlay per their zoning commitments. So we are here seeking approval of, this one doesn't have a structure, it's just a parking lot for their overflow parking for their main building that's just south of them. So we're here just looking for acceptance of the landscape and I guess the overlay, well, it wouldn't be architect, just the landscape review, essentially is all we're asking for approval on that one.
Okay, is there lighting on this parking lot?
Yeah, this one does have pole lighting and a photometric plan was submitted and it has the 90-degree cutoffs also.
Okay.
So to eliminate the light pollution to the adjoiners.
Right. Percentage wise, we all in order, Mr. Davis?
Yes, this plan's all in order.
Okay. Pretty simple. Any questions from the commission?
Is that include the detention pond? Is this the detention pond for the, I assume there's a adjoining structure here?
Yeah, the detention was taken care of. There's an existing pond that was built when lot 9B was built, and we're using that same detention. So it's all been reviewed by Commonwealth Greenwood outside reviewer.
Yes,
Copy.
Mr. Smith, all the ponds are kind of an intricate weave in this little area, and it's been reviewed quite a bit.
Copy that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, again, there's been a motion prepared.
You might want to look at that because it includes architecture and landscape, and Mr. Heck indicates it's just landscape that's being reviewed.
Okay.
Otherwise on the agenda.
Then when we read the motion, we'll drop architecture. Is that what you're saying, Ms. Coons?
Correct.
Okay. All right. With that, I'll take a motion.
Okay, I move to find that the proposed commercial site development plan for Precedent South Block 9 submitted by Projects Plus on behalf of Estes Express Lines docket PC 2020-058 complies with the landscape standards of the I-65 corridor overlay district zone. and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the written notice of determination regarding this decision.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Monica, and second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor of that motion? Mr. Dine,
Aye.
Mr. Johnston,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Ms. Gardner,
Aye.
back.
Yeah.
Mr. Schrader,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 7-0. Somebody out there needs to mute their microphone.
Thank you, board.
There's somebody needs to mute their microphone. We're getting a lot of background noise. There we go. All right. Motion carries. Good luck, Mr. Heck. All right. Next order of business would be PC 2021-007, Greenwood Park Building 3 Primary and Landscape Waiver. This is would be a public hearing. And so all those, there'll be 15 minutes for the petitioner, 15 for the remonstrator, and 5-minute rebuttal for each. And anybody that's going to speak for or against needs to be sworn in, and we'll do that individually with Stevie. Petitioner, if you would be sworn in, please.
Yes, sir. You need to state my name and address first?
Yes.
Okay. This is Sean Kofer with Scannell Properties. The GLA Properties LLC, as the petitioner, is one of our entities. And so I'll be speaking and presenting on behalf of us today.
Okay. Stevie, you swear him in, please.
Sorry, I was muted.
That's all right.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, if I can share my screen real quick, I think we can make this pretty easy.
Okay.
Share screen. All right. And you'll have to forgive me. So Dale will probably point out that this was, most of the things are the same. We've made a couple text changes and things like that through our review process. And I didn't have a chance to download the latest onto my computer before I left the office today. But essentially, this is the primary plat. I don't know. We've done a lot of projects around Graham Road, Graham Road, Stacy's Way, which is this new road here in this general vicinity. So this is Greenwood Park at 65 South, and this is what we're calling Section 2. So this is the last little sliver of ground we have, this little triangle on this corner right before Graham Road makes the bend and goes back to the east. So this would be this triangle, and then there's a small rectangle just on the south side of Graham Road there. So this is the primary plat. To adjust that and create really 2 new lots and then an additional block, and I'll zoom in here so people can see it a little bit better. So we have 1 lot. Here's kind of the triangular lot that we were working on a site plan for and working through with Dale on that. And we'll talk about the landscape waiver here in just a second. And then we've got a smaller lot, lot 2 in this area, which is going to be a detention pond. We need it for dirt, and really we'll make a pond out of that and then be able to utilize this block A. We've had some conversations with the city about some things that we could do with that. There may be some questions about what this random little piece of ground is. This is actually a piece of ground that is still owned by NDOT. I think when they bought all of the ground to do the Worstville Road interchange, this was a piece of leftover ground that's kind of hanging out in no man's land right now. So that's why our 2 pieces of this plat don't connect at the moment. Really, that's kind of it for the plat. We're planning on creating those couple lots. I can scroll down through the sheets so you can kind of see, like I said, it's a bigger triangular lot there. then we'll have the pond, and then I'll jump over and show a site plan. And like I said, this has been tweaked a little bit. But generally, this is what we're thinking for the site plan of building. This site gets a little, really tight. So it's kind of tough to make things work. But what the landscape waiver is for, there's an area in here with the green belt setback. There's also within this, there's a gas main. And so we couldn't get all the plantings within here because of that gas main. And so we've requested to put those elsewhere on the site. So that's the waiver request that's part of this, is to have those plantings elsewhere.
Okay.
Really, that's about it.
All right.
Got my share. There you go.
Anyone else to speak for this? Anyone to speak against it? One more time, anybody? Okay, close the public hearing. We will, Ms. Coons, do we do the primary plat first and then the waiver, or vice versa?
Typically, I think you have done the waiver and then you do the plat.
Okay.
I think that's how the order you normally take them in.
Okay. There has been a motion prepared. So let's do the landscape waiver first for PC 2021-007.
Okay. I move that the request of GLA Properties LLC for a waiver from the former I-65 corridor overlay zone district ordinance, former Greenwood Municipal Code Article 6, supplementary district regulations, section 10-101, subsection 6.17.23, minimum landscaped areas A1, greenbelt, requiring landscaping comprised of 41 trees and 413 shrubs.
Shouldn't be 413. That is a mistake.
Okay.
I don't know if we have enough room for that many shrubs.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 41 and 43.
Okay.
Can you confirm that, Mr. Davis? We can go with that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, requiring landscaping comprised of 41 trees and 43 shrubs in the 30-foot green belt along its west property line be approved, and that the Plan Commission finds that the GLA Properties LLC has met the criteria set forth by Greenwood Municipal Code Section 10-04-051 or I for the waiver for the reasons set forth in its request for waiver and as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Who was that, Mr. Dine?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, motion by Ms. Monica and second by Mr. Dine. All those in favor, Mr. Dine,
Aye.
Mr. Johnston,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Monica,
Aye.
Ms. Gardner,
Aye.
Mr. Schrader,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, now let's do the primary plat. There's been a motion prepared for that as well.
Mr. President, before we move on, do you mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
Ms. Coons, just for my purposes here, can you explain to us the difference between a waiver and a variance like we would see in the Board of Zoning Appeals? What the difference between those two things are here for the purposes of why we're doing it here?
Yeah, a waiver is a condition that you allow someone to do so that they can get an approval. A variance is actually you are not applying the law. You are allowing them to have a variance from a requirement. Waivers are actually something that are built into your ordinance that you can allow, the statute allows to meet. You can have a waiver to meet a condition. It's like a conditional a waiver to be able to do meet some other requirement. A variance is so that they don't have to do something at all. It's kind of the easiest way to try to explain it.
They somewhat overlap then.
They're close, but
Okay,
Copy
Okay.
that. Hey, thank you for the explanation.
so there is a motion for the primary plat.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed primary plat of Greenwood Park Building Number 3 Industrial Subdivision submitted by GLA Properties LLC, docket PC 2021-007. Because the primary plat complies with the standards in the Unified Development Ordinance, Division 6, subdivisions, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary plat as prepared by the planning director.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Monica, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, Mr. Dine,
Aye.
Mr. Johnston,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Ms. Gardner,
Aye.
Mr. Schrader. Mr. Schrader,
Sorry. Aye.
that's okay. And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, next order of business is again a public hearing, PC 2021-020, Madison Primary. Petitioner is the city of Greenwood. Who will be presenting for city tonight?
I will be.
Okay, so again, it's 15 minutes petitioner, 15 remonstrator, and 5-minute rebuttal for each. So anybody that's going to speak for or against this needs to be sworn in. And Stevie, if you take care of that.
And I'm Dale Davis, planning director for the city of Greenwood. Stevie, you're muted.
I'm not having a good time with that. Do you swear under penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Is there anybody else who's going to be speaking for this? Anybody to speak against it? Okay, Mr. Davis, proceed.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So good evening. Hopefully you can see my screen okay.
Yep.
This is a primary plat for the Madison, our redevelopment project of the former middle school site. So this primary plat is for 92 lots on just over 18 acres. As you can see, we're making a lot of progress on the field house. This is the land portion of the discussion. The city is filing this petition. It's on behalf of the development team, which consists of Great Lakes Capital, CRG Residential, and the city of Greenwood. Of these 92 lots, I can give a little more insight as to what we're working on. At the far north end of the site, you'll see this block A. That is a 4-story condo building. You'll see that it is labeled as 60 lots. Currently, it is designed as 42 lots, but should we be able to relocate a couple power poles, it has the potential to expand to 60. Then as you work through the site, lot 1, the city will retain, that is the field house. The rest of the lots will be transferred to the developer. You'll see on blocks C and D, those are the townhome products. If you count, there's actually 2 extra lots on these beyond what's drawn. We're dialing in the square footage on those units, so we might be able to fit in another unit, possibly 2, but probably just 1 more. Building B, those are apartments. Building E, those are more multifamily, more apartments. Both of these buildings will have residential end caps on the ground floor. Lot 4 is the parking garage, which will be retained by the city. And then when you get down to the southern block, building G and building F, which the label for F is a little smaller. It's a little harder to read, but these are two separate buildings. These are both multifamily with, again, ground floor retail spaces. So there are no waivers requested with this primary plat. It meets our development standards, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Anybody else to speak for this? Anybody to speak against it? All right.
Can we ask a question?
Well, if you can ask questions, but I got to close the public hearing first.
Okay,
Or is
we're working
Ms.
Orchard
Cruz helping?
Lane, trying to figure out what the plan is to keep traffic off Orchard Lane.
Do you want to speak against this as a remonstrator, or you just have a question?
We want what the plan is to keep traffic off Orchard Lane between Old Meridian and 31 with this plan.
We need, let's get him sworn in, Stevie.
I don't know who's talking.
Kevin Johnson.
Okay. Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and state your concern, please.
We're just concerned about the traffic on Orchard Lane between Old Meridian and 31. With the current roundabout, it's already backing up during rush hour. We're getting a lot of traffic because of it. What's the plan to keep traffic off Orchard Lane?
Okay. Any other questions?
That's about it, really. We're just trying to keep, we don't want to be making a thoroughfare.
Okay.
Everybody's a concern on this street right now about that.
All right. Anybody else to speak?
I would like to be sworn in as well, please.
Okay.
What's your name?
Laurel Jones.
Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do, yes.
What's her address?
My address 109 Orchard Lane.
Thank you.
Okay.
I am concerned about traffic as well. We have semis coming down our street now. We have box trucks, buses, small buses, and we have children on this street. My concern is all the multifamily. Has there been a traffic study done? If you have multifamily, you could possibly have 2 cars per unit. If you have 297, that's the last count that I heard, that could be an additional almost 600 cars going up and down this street. I too am concerned about the traffic on Orchard Lane. When we bought our house here, it was very quiet, but it has changed immensely since the roundabout was put in. And very, very concerned about that. Have there been traffic studies done for this project?
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Jones?
Nope, that's the main thing, is the traffic.
Okay. All right, anybody else? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Oh, wait a minute. Got a 5-minute rebuttal. I can't close the public hearing yet. Mr. Davis, you get a 5-minute rebuttal.
Okay. In terms of through traffic on Orchard Street, this has not been a discussion of ours. The conversation has been moving traffic by way of Madison and Meridian, and the intersection design has not been really set up to encourage traffic to go across Orchard as a through street. In terms of traffic study, we have looked at traffic, and I think I'll defer some of that to Karen Collins, who's one of the engineers that's working with us on this project.
We'll probably need to get her sworn in then. Is that right, Ms. Coons?
That is correct.
Okay, let's get her sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalties to say the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
And your name again, state your name and address for the record.
Karen Collins, and it's 8365 Keystone Crossing, Suite 201, Indianapolis.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have done a traffic study for this area. I can look and find more information about Orchard, but yes, we have looked at it, and it's there's not been any concerns as far as that goes. But Orchard now will extend across to from Madison to Meridian, and there will be parallel parking along Orchard on the north side. So you know, the speeds of that traffic should be slowed down just because of the, you know, the parallel parking, and it's not encouraged to be a big through lane. And then there in the parking, you know, is all on the others on the east side of buildings F and G. So those are off of Meridian.
I think that we're kind of concerned about the through traffic from Madison to 31.
And I'll have to take a better look at the traffic study to see if it looks at that. But I think it was really just looking at Meridian and Madison.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Any other comments on the 5-minute rebuttal?
Nope, I have nothing else to offer.
All right, Mr. Johnston and Ms. Jones, you have any additional comments?
This is Laurel Jones again. I guess I have a concern about that because everyone's saying that it wasn't really looked at, but yet the traffic has increased immensely to the point where I'm thinking of selling my house. And if this is all built there, it is going to be worse if there's not something done to discourage traffic going through that area. And I really am concerned about the children on this street and pets. I just don't think it's acceptable to say we haven't really looked at that. I lived in Carmel for almost 30 years, and I have never really seen anything like this done without any major studies that it's affecting cross streets. It's interesting to me.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, do you have any further comments?
I would like to know if there's a stoplight in the plan at Orchard Lane in Madison.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? All right, now I'll close the public hearing. I guess what I would, this is a primary plat, so these aren't final plans. I guess at this point, Ms. Coons, if you would explain our duties for a primary plat.
Sure. A primary plat is a ministerial act. If the plat that has been submitted meets the development standards and has addressed all the requirements in the subdivisions division of the UDO, then it must be approved. If you are going to deny approval of the plat, you have to specifically set forth those portions of the subdivisions requirements in the Unified Development Ordinance with which it does not comply. And then the petitioner would have the opportunity to amend the plat, file an amended plat to make it compliant.
Okay, so that's just for the plat itself, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what this hearing is for.
So with that, I'll open up the commission for questions and comments.
Mr.
So-
Fuller,
Yes, Mr. Dine?
this is probably more of a legal question. To give the people that have called in an answer or some hope, at some point when this becomes, after it gets through the council, can we restrict traffic on Orchard Lane? Limit the delivery trucks or the semis, or I know it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone, but is there any way we could restrict traffic? And I understand their concerns, especially with children and the heavy traffic and backing up at Madison Avenue. So if Shauna or Dale could answer that for me.
I can answer that. A primary plat would not go to the Common Council. It only goes to the Plan Commission. So you do, however, as a legislative body, have the authority to regulate the parking and traffic on your local streets. So if you took a look at it and thought that a speed limit should be reduced, that it's warranted, depending on how much you're changing it without a traffic study. Or if you want to limit trucks, put no trucks through there, or put the weight limit of vehicles, if there was a reason to do so, you could pass an ordinance to regulate the traffic through there. Or the
Thank you.
And I can also add to that, the design I shared is preliminary. These are not the construction documents. So we
Right.
are still looking at all of these items, and we'll certainly look at that in conjunction with all of our intersection designs. Nothing is set, and we appreciate the concern brought up, and we'll look at that as we move forward on our design.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
So just to be clear here, the what we're looking at tonight for the remonstrators, just what we're looking at tonight has no effect on what the final plan moving forward will be, but there is a meeting where your concerns may be able to affect the outcome of that next Monday at 7 p.m. For the Common Council meeting, where they can do more than what we don't have the power to make those kinds of commitments for you.
I don't believe this will go to the Common Council next week, will it, Ms. Coons?
No, I think Mr. Smith's point was, if you have a concern about the street and you want some kind of traffic or speed regulation, you would approach the Common Council
Okay.
at a meeting from the audience and say, this is a concern.
Okay.
Yes, that's what my comment was. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Can I make another comment?
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
I wonder if you could offset Orchard Lane so it doesn't go directly across. That would discourage people from coming on Orchard Lane.
Well, part of the design concept behind planning is to line up streets. So for public safety, as far as safety vehicles, fire, you know, and so you and any of the neighbors along there and Ms. Jones can go before the council and voice your concerns, and then start that ball rolling with them. Okay?
Okay.
All right. All right. Any other questions from the commission? All right. Seeing none, there has been a motion prepared.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed primary plat of the Madison mixed-use subdivision submitted by the city of Greenwood on behalf of Great Lakes Capital CRG Residential, docket PC 2021-020, because the primary plat complies with the standards in the Unified Development Ordinance, Division 6 subdivisions, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary plat as prepared by the planning director.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Monica and second by Ms. Gardner. All those in favor? Mr. Dine?
Aye.
Mr. Johnston?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Monica?
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Aye.
Mr. Schrader?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, under new business, we got PC 2021-019, Pride 1, annexation. And again, this is a public hearing. It's 15 minutes for the petitioners, 15 for the demonstrators, 5-minute rebuttal for each. And we'll need to have the anybody that's going to speak for or against this needs to be sworn in at this time. Start with the petitioner.
What's your name?
Eric Prime,
Okay, and then what's your address?
225 South Emerson, Greenwood, Indiana.
Okay. Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do. Also with me this evening is my client rep, Eric Allen, and he probably needs to be sworn in as well.
Okay.
What was his name?
Eric Allen.
There you go.
And then what's your address?
4094 Preserve Run Circle, Medina, that's MEDINA, Ohio, 44256.
Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right. Is there anybody going to speak against this? Okay, we'll proceed. I'm sorry, there was somebody waving there. Okay, state your name and address for the record, and then Stevie will swear you in.
Good evening. My name is David Rutherford, and I'm an attorney up here at 8801 Southeastern Avenue, and I represent an abutting property owner to the south, Mr. and Mrs. Tim Thinnell.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, and I think there was somebody else who's holding up their hand as well.
Yep. Lauren Campagna. I represent the adjacent property owner for 831 North Graham Road, Granite Reach. And my address is 8900 Keystone Crossing, Suite 1150, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46240. And we more just have some comments. I don't want to say we're necessarily petitioning against, but there were some concerns that they wanted me to bring up to the meeting.
Sure. Okay, go ahead, Stevie, and swear her in, please.
Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Okay, was there anybody else?
There was one other couple.
Yeah, I thought I saw somebody else.
So I'm Jason Hiscock. This is my wife, Margaret. Our address is 747 North Combs Road. And we just have some concerns that we want to share.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get you sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Mr. Prime?
Thank you. Again, for the record, Eric Prime, Van Valer Law Firm, 225 South Emerson in Greenwood, on behalf of your petitioner, Dorab Holdings LLC, which is doing business as Pride One. They are the petitioner and potential developer of this project. The ground is currently owned by the Robeson Trust, and so obviously I represent them as well as they are the current landowner. Let me jump to the screen sharing. And all right. Can everybody see the slide that says Dorab Holdings?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So again, we are here this evening for an annexation and commensurate rezoning of approximately 32.93 acres. We are asking that the zoning be, it's currently in the county as rural residential. We're asking that it be converted to the new RMC classification under the city's new UDO. Here's the area overview. Can everybody see that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that the area that's highlighted in light green is the parcel. It is adjacent to Combs Road. It is just north of the double 90. In fact, you can see on this aerial view, the yellow line just below the property. That is the new S-curve that is being installed for Combs that will take out that double 90. And then immediately to the west of this property, you can see the Opus facility, the large white facility there. That gives you a general idea of where we are. We're south of County Line and north of Main Street, obviously. And Graham Road is further to the west of this. And then I will zoom in. This is a little bit tighter view of the site. Again, it's 32.93 acres. I wanted to show you this slide because one of the criteria for annexation is, from the city's perspective, is does it help square up the city limits. And certainly in this case, as you can see from this slide, the green area is current city limits. And then the heavier line that we sort of imposed on this slide north to south is Combs Road. And you can see how jagged the city limits are over there. This property would take care of a big chunk of the yellow that's still remaining on the west side of Combs Road and north of the double 90. So I just wanted to show that slide in case you weren't aware of how jagged the city's boundary was over there. This will certainly help square that up. Not only does it square up to Combs Road, but that actually hits a section boundary line as well. Here is the concept plan for the project, and let me know if zooming in helps. Can you see that a little better?
Yes.
Okay, that's the best I can do zoom wise. The project is actually going to be market rate multifamily, but unlike kind of the normal concept of a maybe 2 or 3 story apartment complex with a bunch of asphalt parking exterior to the facility with walk-ups, these are all going to be single family units, but market rate rentals. And so they will be a mix of 117 ranch style units with garages and 36 townhome units also with garages. So every unit has its own garage. The units that face Combs Road, if you see the large retention pond on the right side of this slide, that is Combs Road. Those units on that circle drive will actually be rear load units. And so when you drive up and down Combs, you're going to see the fronts of those buildings. You won't see driveways, cars, or garage doors. And then likewise, if you move into the neighborhood, the boulevard that comes straight west from that pond is also going to be rear load garages off those streets behind each. And that boulevard leads up to the amenity center, which will be a pool and other amenities for the neighborhood. This will be an integrated, centralized unit in terms of the maintenance and the upkeep of the facility, the mowing, the mulching, the landscaping, the ponds, the exteriors of the units will all be handled centralized by my client. And so it will keep a nice unified look to the area. And really from somebody driving by, it looks like a neighborhood of paired patio homes and townhomes. And the majority of the townhomes in the concept plan are on the far west edge up against the Opus facility. And then kind of a less dense look, I suppose, if you call it that, heading back east toward Combs. And that's the plan, is that we really want to make this look like a residential neighborhood. And I think that brings a concept to Greenwood that we don't have right now, but we certainly have a need, as evidenced by the rental, no vacancy rates basically, and all of the other multifamily units around. So there is certainly a demand. Let's see, there we go. Statutory criteria. Actually, before I get to this, were there any questions about the concept plan?
We'll address those, Mr. Prime, and questions and answers.
Okay, happy to do that. I am obligated, as you know, to give you the statutory criteria
Yes.
for this project. So let's do that real quick. That should be the slide in front of you now. Number one, and this is for annexation, not for the rezoning. For the annexation, the area proposed has a unity of interest with the municipality. That is, the area must be part of the urban community, having geographic, social, and or economic ties with the city. Our position is that the real estate is located within what is described as an area of interest segment in your comprehensive plan. It is obviously contiguous to existing city land, and is again would be part of that Combs Road and Graham Road corridor that the city has identified as this area of interest and is for future mixed use development. The second is that the advantages to the city outweigh the disadvantages. We're not aware of any disadvantages to the city in bringing in what is currently farm ground into the city. Obviously, the annexation will provide a substantial increase in assessed value and will add to the availability of needed market rate apartments. It will also help square the city limits, which is an objective of annexations. And that gets us into the third criteria, which is that the annexation will help square the city corporate limits. I don't need to go into that too much. I think I showed that the exhibit's probably better than a bunch of words from me about how that would help. And then fourth, the annexation will foster growth and prosperity of the annexing city in the following ways. Again, kind of dovetailing back with some of the other criteria, it adds needed market rate rental units to this high commercial and industrial growth area, where a lot of the jobs being brought into that area will have folks who need to have rental units like this available to them, and certainly having them in the vicinity will be advantageous.
Okay.
Then the criteria for the rezoning is this next slide. So I'll run through this very quickly. The purpose of the request is to bring in annex and rezone approximately 32.93 acres, currently zoned in the county as RR. We're proposing to develop multifamily community consisting of single-story and townhome apartment units. Petitioner, with the owner's consent, requests the annexation of the real estate in the city of Greenwood and to amend the zoning map to change the classification of the parcel to the new RMC, residential multi-unit complex, which is provided for in the new UDO. The proposed development of the property is for single-family attached apartments in pods of 4s and 5s and 6s and some 3s, to provide a mix of market rate rental units. Request complies with comprehensive plan in that it is consistent with City of Greenwood's comprehensive plan, as the proposed residential use is located within this area of interest segment identified in the comprehensive plan. The future land use preference, which is kind of a footnote of the thing, does talk about multifamily residential, along with just a general mixed use of the area to be as it is becoming, which is a mix of commercial, residential, and industrial. So the request complies with that. Fourth, the request complies with the current conditions and character of the current structures and uses in each district. If you look at the area where this is located, we've got a bunch of other residential developments south and maybe eventually east and maybe north. North of this was the immediately adjacent north parcel is zoned residential medium, I believe, under the new terminology. That was the Arbor project that I brought through about a year ago. And then further north from that is already zoned multifamily. So this is certainly in keeping with that. If you go to the south on the below the curve of Combs Road, you've got, I believe it's called Trotter's Point. You've got the Retreat and the Reserve at Rock Lane and the Estates at Rock Lane down there as well. So really this is in keeping with everything moving to the east. And that's really gets into this next one, the most desirable use. What you've got on Graham Road, obviously, is a very large commercial and industrial corridor in place. And I think the idea, certainly clearly from the comprehensive plan, the idea was to have a transition. As you move east, we go to smaller detached single family like the Arbor project and to multifamily like this, excuse me. And then as you move further east, I assume at some point the city is going to be asked to annex ground on the east side of Combs, and that likely would be ripe for larger single family homes as you transition. So this is that transition zone moving from the Graham Road commercial and industrial corridor to what will likely be a Combs Road residential corridor. Next is that the request will not negatively affect the property values. The use of the adjacent properties wouldn't be affected because this petition is consistent with the residential development in the area, with the exception of the IL zoning classification to the west, obviously. This real estate, the real estate to the north and to the south, is all used for either single family or eventually multifamily residential use. 7, this request is considered responsible development growth because petitioner's proposed annexation request and the rezoning to a residential zoning classification of RMC complies with the City of Greenwood's intended uses for the area as articulated in the comprehensive plan. This fits in with the mixed use that is desired and indicated in the comp plan. Here are some renderings of what we're looking at on the left. Those are the the rear load single family units, single story units. So that's what you would see going up and down Combs Road, is that top left type of a unit. And then the second rendering down from that would be the rear of it. Once you get into the neighborhood, you've got the side views there. The slide on the right, or the half on the right, are the front load, same versions of that unit, just the front load versions that would be inside the neighborhood. And then these are the townhomes, front view and rear view. And that is all I have for now.
Was Mr. Allen going to speak to this, or?
He is available. He's the engineer on the project, so he was available to answer any technical questions that were outside of the scope of my education.
All right. Well, we'll move to the remonstrators, and if we have any questions, he's been sworn in, so we can bring him in. So, with that, is that all for now, Mr. Prime?
That is.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rutherford, you were sworn in, so if you could turn your screen back to us, Mr. Prime, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry, hogging the joint. Okay, that should be good.
Should be.
Okay.
Mr. Rutherford, you had some comments you wanted to make?
Thank you. Again, my name is David Rutherford. I'm a real estate attorney up here in Wanamaker. My address is 8801 Southeastern Avenue, 46239. And I've had a long-standing relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Fennell as this area has developed. This is a rare opportunity for me to actually do some remonstrators related work. But I want to clarify that we do not have any objections to the annexation. There are some concerns about the zoning, typical buffering and setback issues along my client's property because they do abut the south line of the property. And when he bought the house, it was a farm field proposed at the worst case scenario for single family houses. And now we've got a lot more down there. So there's some issues that we need to address. But the way this particular case is proceeding, we will have an opportunity in the actual zoning phase of this in front of the city to be able to address some of these issues. And we are making good progress with Eric Prime and his clients. But I wanted to make the commission aware of a slight issue. In the effort to satisfy my client's concerns, it is possible that he may end up with some ownership of a piece of the area that is being annexed tonight. And we've done a little bit of research on this. We think we can actually do that. But if we're in a position where in satisfaction of his interest, a piece of this ground that is currently proposed to be annexed ends up being purchased by him or owned by him, he would not want that to be annexed. So we would be in a position where we might want to reduce the legal description of the area being annexed by this little sliver, doesn't want to talk about it very much, that would stay with his property and not be annexed by the city. We've explored that with Shauna Coons, and she seems to agree with my experiences. We can make it smaller. If we make it bigger, we're in trouble. But if we make it smaller, what's being annexed, we should be okay with that. We want to sensitize you to that possibility in the next phase of this annexation. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. But again, we are not objecting to the annexation. We just want to let you know there's a possibility the legal description might need to slightly change if we're able to work out the issues regarding the zoning case in the manner that have been discussed to date.
I know on the setbacks and things, all those kinds of things will be addressed in the primary plat.
Right.
Okay. Right. Is that it, Mr. Rutherford?
That's it.
Okay. Ms. Campagna, did I say that right?
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct. So we just had a few questions or concerns, I would say, that we found with other industrial buildings that my client owns and have neighborhoods that back up into them. One concern is there going to be some sort of fence that's going to separate the properties We tend to see a lot of people coming into our property from adjoining neighborhoods. And our concern is, one, the safety that causes, and kind of a liability for us if people are now walking into our property. So we just wanted to ask if the fence had been considered back there. Our current tenant does have a chain link fence around part of their parking lot, but the entire property is not fenced in. Secondly, we just want some sort of note that our building does have quite a bit of light that is off of it, and if that's going to be a concern, I'm sure, you know, the people who buy a home or a townhome, I couldn't see quite what was going to be butting up to ours, but our lights are on 24/7, and they're allowed to have a certain foot candle reading from those lights. Just don't want any negative interactions between anybody that ends up buying a home back there and then coming to us and saying that our property is shedding too much light into their home. Thirdly is a noise. Right now, the tenant that we have is not a true 24/7 operation, but tenants come and go. While we hope that the tenant right now would stay there for an ever and ever, you know, we could have a new tenant that has a full 24-hour, 7 days a week operation. Obviously, that could cause a lot more noise, and just trying to look ahead at some of the issues that we get from other neighborhoods right now and their concerns, and they're constantly coming to us about. So just wanting those voiced here.
Okay. All right.
Eric, I can answer that one. This is Eric Allen. The first question,
Mr. Allen, before
Yeah.
we go, let's the remonstrators finish, and then we'll go into a rebuttal period. Thank you. Okay, is that it? Okay.
On my side. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hiscock, is that correct? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
And we did send a letter in last week, kind of laying out the concerns that we have. And one of those being, we want to, we live in the house that is set back into the woods. So there is a tree farm right across the street from where this complex is going to be built. And we live in the middle of it. We want to make sure that the zoning does not change for our property, and that our use of that property will not change. We moved this area because we like the rural residential feel of Greenwood, and we want to keep it that way. We do have traffic concerns. Our driveway and also the proposed entrance to the complex they're going to build is on the other side of a hill, and you cannot see over it very well. It's not completely blind, but when we turn on our driveway, you can only see the top half of our car. So it does raise some serious safety issues. It's also at the end of an S curve. So cars driving through there quickly, we're going to have accidents where cars are going to run off the road and into trees. We want to avoid that stuff. I'm not sure if it's possible to slow the traffic down. So that's one concern we had. Another concern is we don't want our trees taken down. I don't know if there's plans to widen the road. That's really not something we want to see happen, is any of our trees taken down. It's an important part of the area. Was there anything else that you had?
We currently have traffic issues with the current volume, and you've mentioned a couple times, Mr. Prime, about additions already going in, and here's another, 140 units, and there's going to be more traffic. And one of our questions is if there's plans for a traffic circle at Combs and County Line, because we have quite a bit of backups there multiple times in the morning and the evening rush hours.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
One other question. Would this development, would that be for Greenwood schools or for Johnson County schools?
Those would be, I believe, Whiteland School District. Is that correct?
Clark Pleasant, yeah.
Clark Pleasant.
Clark Pleasant schools.
Clark Pleasant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though it's annexed into Greenwood proper, those people will still go to like the same schools that we are in.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, everything east of 65, I believe, is Clark Pleasant.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
I believe so.
All right. Anybody else to speak against this or have comments? All right. Now we'll go back to the petitioners. Mr. Allen, you can go ahead and address one of those issues if you like.
Thank you. I guess I'll start off with, I believe, Lauren's comments. She asked about a fence. No, we have no plans on putting any sort of fence around the perimeter of the facility. I guess I can sympathize with your concerns. I've been involved with many projects like this for a number of different clients. I suppose it could be an issue for people wandering, but at this point, we do not have a plan to have a fence around the project. With regards to the lights, I do thank you for sharing some of the other issues that your client has had with lights spilling into residential areas. I guess my answer to that is, there are zoning rules within the city that your client will have to abide by. I know it's easier said than done because, I mean, at the end of the day, tenants will probably still complain. I guess that's why we have the zoning rules. If you guys are in compliance with that, then there's nothing that if our clients don't like it, I guess they can move. I mean, that's how this works. Now, I guess if God forbid it would still, if you were under the proper lighting zoning rules, and if there's still an issue, it would be up to us to come to your client to pay for something to fix that, but it certainly wouldn't be on you. The same goes for the noise, I would guess. I oftentimes we do build near an industrial commercial area, and it's important that your client, just like us, there are noise ordinances that they have to follow. Same as the light, the lighting noise. You guys are there first when these tenants go to look at these units. They're going to know what they're up against, and if your client would be too noisy, then we'd have to deal with that then. So I do appreciate you looking out for us in that way. We are familiar with that. I guess that's the only way I can address those items, is we'd fall within whatever the local zoning codes are. And same goes for us. If we're too noisy or we're too bright, you could bring it against us as well. For the next couple traffic sight lines, that is a big deal. I've done a number of these projects around the country, and a lot of times those sight lines can be a big deal. I would say that I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Should we get through annexation, we're going to have to go through full engineering, and I can almost guarantee you that the city is going to require a traffic study. That traffic study would also investigate safety issues with regards to sight lines, turning, and things of that nature. I can tell you right now, I don't want any of my tenants getting into an accident because of a sightline issue as much as you don't. So that would have to be part of that. You'd been concerned, and I guess along those lines too, you asked a comment about the amount of traffic. And of course, like I said, that would be under the traffic study, which will be part of the engineering permit process. The trees being removed, right now, the majority of the project is clear. It's a agricultural field. We don't want to have to take down any more trees than we have to. I know obviously the big concern is that south line there. We will have to comply with all the zoning buffers, and we can't get around that. I mean, that's something we will just have to do.
The trees, Eric, let me jump in real quick. The trees they're concerned about, just if you're not completely familiar with where they are on the east side of Combs Road. So not on our property, not adjacent to us.
Okay.
They were worried about the road being widened at some point. So that's not within our.
Well, I can tell you, and I probably need to be careful here with this, but I'll do my best. Should the annexation take place and we move forward, part of the deal will be that the road will have to be brought up to city standards. And that there would be a significant amount of work to be done there. The existing road would be removed. The subgrade would be brought up to new standards. The road would be, I forget the dimensions. It's going to be a little bit wider because the shoulders will be a little bit wider. We'll restore the ditches. But I, as a developer, do not have the ability to do that work on the east side of the road. I can't, unless I would purchase property from you or anyone on the east side of the road in order to widen the road that direction. Anything I have to do from a widening standpoint, if it would not fall under the current right of way or property lines or whatever, I would have to go to the west on my own property. So I think I'm safe in saying that if there is a tree that is outside of the current Combs Road right of way on the east side, I cannot cut it down. I can't do it. I can't go that direction. Am I clear in that, Eric? Was I safe in everything I said there? I don't want to promise that I can't keep.
Yeah, no, that you'd either have to acquire the ground or at least an easement, or that you can't touch it. So, and to those folks that are concerned, this rezoning doesn't touch your property. You're still in the county. You need to come to the city voluntarily and request to be annexed in order to have your zoning changed by the city of Greenwood. Certainly the county also is your jurisdiction. They can change the zoning with a petition to do so, but that would have to come from you or someone that you were selling your property to. So this won't have any effect on you in that regard. And I think the only thing we missed real quick, I know we're probably over the 5 minutes, on the rebuttal was with regard to Mr. Rutherford's comments. We are working with his client, he and his client, and we are amenable to reducing, if it comes to that, the size of the annex request. It would just be a change to the legal description that's in our petition. And it would just be a small sliver of ground, but just to let you know, we're working with them and discussing that.
Okay. All right. Is that it, Mr. Prime? Mr. Allen? Okay.
That's it.
All right. All right. Mr. Rutherford, Ms. Campagna, and Mr. Hiscock, is there any other additional comments you would like to make? Anybody on mute? Nope. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, so sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So on widening the road, now there is easement there. Who has final authority over widening the whole road? I understand, you can widen it into your own property, but are there plans to widen the entire road all the way from Main Street to County Line?
That's a question for our city planners, I think. Mr. Davis, is that one you want to approach?
Well, currently that road is, that portion of the road's under the jurisdiction of the county. So this annexation, since it's on the east, would bring it into our jurisdiction. Now, in general, like our petitioners were stating, we would make the developers, as part of their development petition, improve their frontage and make any logical connections that need to be made. Now, as far as improving the length of the road, honestly, that would be difficult for the city to do single-handed without participation by the county, since the jurisdiction is going to jump back and forth with this being at the edge of the city. If the city was going to make a coordinated effort or a solo effort to improve the road, I think we'd have to wait for the whole thing to be annexed. Daniel, do you have anything to add from city engineer's perspective?
Sure. I think according to the city's comprehensive plan, Combs Road is not meant to have or not envisioned to have the same functional classification as Graham Road. Graham Road is currently 5 lanes. If you count the middle turn lane, that is. Combs Road, at least at this time, is not envisioned to have a full scale widening from 2 lanes to 4 lanes or anything like that.
All right. So, all right. Any other comments from the remonstrators? All right. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I did want to make one comment. I know Ms. Hiscock was wondering about a roundabout, maybe a county line road. Unfortunately, that's not our jurisdictions. That's Marion County's, I believe. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be up to the city of Indianapolis as to whether they would put a roundabout at that location.
You are correct on that.
Okay. All right. So with that, I will, the letter of concerns from the Hiscocks is do we need to get that in the record? Has that been sent? Has that been received by the city planning department?
Yes, and we forwarded it on to the plan commission members. So if that would be moved to be part of the record.
Okay, so that we can include that in the motion.
Well, I would just say, yes, we enter this into the record.
Okay.
Take it and enter it into the record as part of the hearing this evening.
Okay.
Not only did they testify verbally, but they also submitted written testimony.
All right. So done.
It's acknowledged that is entered into the record. You
Okay.
received it. It was distributed to all the plan commission members and it is in the record.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. With that, I'll open up to the commissioners with any questions or comments.
Trent, I read the staff report and I didn't see any commitments because the motion has commitments if you look at the last line.
There were numerous commitments and
okay, I wasn't sure if there were commitments or not. I mean, it was like 10 pages long or something.
yeah, there were commitments in what I received, in the staff report I received.
Yes, there was, there's is it the landscape?
Architecture, landscape,
Right.
the site design.
Yeah.
There's a long list of them. Yes, there
I
are.
see, I've read all that, but I didn't know they were actually commitments. Sorry.
Yes.
It comes in after it says staff recommends the following. I assume
Okay, yeah, I
those are
see
all the
that.
commitments.
I gotcha.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, the question about the sliver, that if we annex this, as I understand, then we would go back and amend our annexation. Can you explain how that works? Is this?
I believe it's what would happen is you would make your recommendation. It would then be introduced to the council. While it is pending before the council, the petitioner has the right to amend their petition to like change a legal description, take 10 feet off here or there. Then we would, acknowledge that they had amended it. We would amend the ordinance to correct the legal description before it's finally adopted. That is what they're referencing.
So if we accept the annexation tonight, they're not gonna have to come back and.
It does not go back to the plan commission, no. While it is pending before the common council on the ordinance to annex and zone the property, it could be amended at that time.
Excellent.
And I just wanted to say for the record, I apologize for interrupting, Mr. Smith, that with regard to the commitments or the requested commitments by staff, we are willing to adhere to those. And those include a traffic study. They include numerous landscaping and architectural requirements, and we're willing to move forward with that with the favorable staff recommendation.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Coons?
I will remind you to pay reasonable regard to the following criteria in making your decision to make a recommendation to the council on this annexation petition and rezone. 1, you'll want to pay reasonable regard to the area proposed for annexation, that it has a unity of interest at the municipality. The area must be part of the urban community, having geographic, social, and/or economic ties with the city. The advantages to the city outweigh the disadvantages. The annexation will help to square the city corporate limits. The annexation will foster growth and prosperity of the city. Also, in rendering your decision on a recommendation on the rezone, you're pay regard to the following: the comprehensive plan, the current conditions and the character of current structures and uses in each district, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction of Greenwood, and responsible development and growth.
Okay. With that, there's been a motion prepared.
Mr. President, I move that the petition for annexation of approximately 32.93 acres known as the Robert Robinson Trust property, generally located on the east side of North Combs Road between 688 and 952 Combs Road, which is continuous to the city of Greenwood, Johnson County, Indiana, as set forth therein, receive a favorable recommendation from this commission to the Greenwood Common Council, and that the same be certified to the Greenwood Common Council in the form presented with the following commitments as presented in the staff report.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Monica, second by Mr. Dine. All those in favor of that motion signify, well, I'll take roll. Mr. Dine?
Aye.
I'm wanting to get back in the chamber.
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Monica?
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Aye.
Mr. Schrader?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 7-0. Good luck to the petitioners. And when will the reading for this be, Ms. Coons?
Well, we will introduce it at the meeting on May 3rd. Under the statute, we have to give a 20-day notice following this meeting of the public hearing. So it will have probably an introduction on May 3rd, a first reading on May the 17th, and then at the June 7th, because there are 5 Mondays in the month of May, you'll have your public hearing at your second reading.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Any new business from the floor? All right. Seeing none. Any announcements?
Yes, we will likely be back in person with our next meeting. We do have one item on that first agenda item in May. So please pay attention when we send out that next agenda. And if anything changes, we'll certainly let you know. But the way things have been noticed, we'll likely have Zoom up in the room as well, just in case anybody from the public joins that way. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Okay.
So
it's just the commissioners that'll be in the chambers, and then anybody that wants to.
No, we would be open.
Okay.
So
Okay.
public could be.
But you will have, if we stay for the current policy, there are going to be capacity limits because we will still distance. So they have the chairs in the chambers, all spaced 6 feet apart. So there is a maximum capacity for people that can attend. And I think right now we are still wearing masks.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So,
All righty. Okay. That's good news. Any other announcements or comments?
None for me.
All right. With that, motion to adjourn. Anyone?
Move to adjourn.
All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Toodles.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.